The apocalypse base accepted a new female survivor to leave a cute impression on men. Fighting zombies in a pink sports bra accidentally destroyed the power supply while everyone was training. She even mistook me for a rival until she actually went into battle and faced a fierce zombie lunging at her. She was completely shocked. She gently pressed her index finger against her cheek, introduced herself with a lively tone. "My name is Juno. I'm a bit slow. You can call me my nickname, Airhead. She has big eyes, her skin is fair, she is petite. It really stirs a man's protective instinct." The person who brought her told her, 1. All the trainers have found partners, she will have to continue the training alone. Upon hearing this, Juno pouted, her eyes were full of tears, about to cry. Juno doesn't want to be alone, that would be too pitiful. Well, then you choose a team to join yourself, each small team has 2 people. A 1-month training at the base, after that they will be assigned to deal with zombies. She pouted, looking like she was thinking seriously. Then she pointed at Damien, who was standing next to me. "I want to be on his team, he looks really strong." She wobbled over to me, took my hand with both of hers, and gently coaxed, "Please, sister, go to another group. One of the 3 of us will always be extra, don't be our third wheel, okay?" I glanced at Damien beside me, who looked completely indifferent. I squeezed Juno's hand back, my voice even more teasing. "You're right, but my baby inside me always wants to hear Dad sing." There were some stifled laughs around, obviously knowing I was making it up. Juno widened her eyes. "How is that possible? You look like you can't have kids at all." She quickly covered her mouth, as if she had accidentally said something wrong. I pulled her hand up to my stomach. "Feel for yourself, maybe the baby will kick you to another planet." My stomach is slightly swollen. It's because I ate too many buns in the morning. Damn Damien, he thinks I'm too thin. He used his own points to get a big basket of buns. I'm so full I look pregnant. Juno turned around abruptly. Her 2 braids recklessly whipped my face. Damien laughed while rubbing my face, still saying nothing. "Does it hurt? I don't feel like dealing with him. Every time you make me fend off girls, my reputation is ruined. I can't even get married." "Okay, I'll marry you." He seemed to have misheard. He rarely smiles. But at that moment, his lips curled into a gentle smile, and I was instantly mesmerized. This damn male charm, his long, pale fingers touched my stomach. "If one day there's really a baby here, I'll sing to her every day." I punched Damien hard. "All right, let's get ready for training." The course mainly focuses on exercises to improve strength, speed, and reaction ability. I was simulating killing zombies with Damien. Suddenly, I heard a sharp scream from somewhere. I took off my 3D glasses. I looked over with confusion. I saw Juno sitting on the ground with her legs hugged. Her big eyes were continuously shedding clear, transparent tears. She had curled up into a small ball. She shook her head lightly and murmured, "Juno doesn't want to anymore. Juno is so tired." A middle-aged man next to her gently patted her shoulder. His voice unconsciously softened. "Do you need some help?" Juno looked up with teary eyes, pointing at her knee with her index finger. "It hurts so much. Can you help me find some medicinal wine? Otherwise, it will leave a scar and look really bad." The middle-aged man didn't expect her to cry so dramatically. It was just a scraped knee, a bit speechless, but seeing Juno look so pitiful, he still took the time to go and find some medicinal wine for her. The man's partner was a young girl. She couldn't continue training because the man left. She seemed a bit impatient. She muttered quietly, "Someone who can cry over a scraped knee in the apocalypse. How can they still be alive? That's quite rare." Her words were not pleasant, but they were fair. The apocalypse is different from other times. It doesn't tolerate sentimentality. Juno relied on her small, cute face and her habit of being affectionate and weak. She depended on men. That was also her way of survival. She just seems to rely too much on this way of survival. Once there's no tree to rely on, she will be scorched by the sun. Juno has very sensitive ears. As soon as she heard the girls mumble, she wasn't happy. "Auntie, since you couldn't keep your partner training with you, don't say some sour remarks. Your partner is already going to get me the medicinal wine, isn't he? Because I'm much more attractive than you." The other person was slightly taken aback by Juno's retort. She couldn't say a word for a while. After she applied the medicinal wine, she limped back to return the medicinal wine. Passing by the electrical switch, she tripped and fell suddenly. 100 milliliters of medicinal wine was accurately poured onto the electrical switch. In an instant, everything went dark. Not only did the lights go out, all the training equipment stopped. She bit her lower lip and staggered to her feet. Bending over, she bowed to everyone. "I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to break the electrical switch. Let's take a break today and train again after it's fixed." I couldn't stand it anymore, and once again had to stop the training because of her. taking off my 3D glasses. Do you think rest is a good thing? If you train one day less, you will be in more danger when facing zombies later. The people around were also unhappy. The girl who had just been scolded came over with her hands on her hips. Exactly, but if you train one more day, I will be weaker than you. We are in the same training room. If I am much weaker than you, wouldn't that be embarrassing? I was so shocked that my worldview was shaken. I just stood there in shock. She suddenly fell to her knees. The surrounding light was dim, combined with her extremely innocent and pitiful words. I know I'm wrong. Don't hit me. Okay, we are teammates who will fight zombies together in the future. The middle-aged man couldn't stand it anymore and came over to stand in front of Juno, saying, if there's something, come at me, Knight. Why bully a weak little girl? Where is the girls help girls thing? I think you all just talk big. The young girl saw her partner coming again to help Juno. She got so angry she stomped her foot. She ran away. I don't want to argue with them anymore. I turned to leave. Juno suddenly grabbed my leg. She cried very bitterly. It's as if I took her life. I dug up her ancestors' graves. Please, forgive me. I'm willing to do anything. Please don't have a bad impression of Juno. Juno wants to leave a good impression for her sister. Before I could say anything, a manager from the next higher level knocked on the iron door heavily. What's going on? Why is this training room so dark? What happened? The manager arrived. The air became even quieter. Juno's sobs were particularly noticeable. Manager, I'm really sorry. I accidentally broke the circuit breaker, causing everyone to stop training. It's my fault. I fell and hurt my leg. Bad leg, she said, clenching her pink fists, and heavily hit her leg, then pulled out a dagger and stabbed her leg. Since this leg is no good, I'll just cut it off. The manager was shocked. She quickly stopped her from self-harming. It's not that big of a deal, just a broken circuit breaker. It would only take half an hour for someone to fix it. There's no need to hurt yourself. Saying that, the manager cast a sharp glance at me. Was it you bullying her? Pushing her to the point of cutting herself with a knife. I was furious and about to open my mouth to explain, but the manager waved her hand. Enough, I don't want to hear about your conflicts or be interested in them. Everyone, go do your own things. Juno looked innocent. Are you not angry? Be broad-minded, and you'll live longer, too. I turned around and slapped her. Before she could react, another slap, then another. She was stunned by my slap, and after a while, she finally said, you actually dared to hit me. I not only want to hit her, but I want to hit her thoroughly. I raised my fist to swing at her face, but Damien tightly grabbed it. Don't worry, she will face the consequences herself. Juno, with her beautiful and cute appearance and her coquettish and cute behavior, immediately attracted a large number of followers. Every time Juno was surrounded by a group of men, she would always look at me with a provocative gaze. Sometimes I passed by. She would quietly say, one day, Damien will also fall at my feet. I am busy with training every day. I don't have time to argue with people like her. I have already foreseen her fate. The weak, on a battlefield full of zombies, have only one path, death. The manager called me and Damien aside. After this period of training, your team has the best performance. You are about to go into real combat. Prepare yourselves. If you get a good grade, you can be promoted to the next level, and you will be higher than me in rank. Trained so long, finally went into battle. I was a bit nervous, and Damien squeezed my hand and said, don't be afraid, I'm here. Dozens of off-road vehicles headed to the destination. From afar, we could see the zombies all with dark blue skin. Their mouths were dripping with sticky saliva, green eyes, staring at us hungrily. Our mission was to rescue all the survivors in the hospital. Juno sat with me in a vehicle. She nudged Knight next to her. You see, my battle suit is pink. And my goggles are also pink. Is it cute? She is wearing heavy makeup. By the way, I have never seen her without makeup. She always appears in heavy makeup every day. Knight nodded repeatedly. Cute, you look good in anything. Juno jumped in front of Damien and waved. Then, what does Big Brother think? Damien is rational and a typical guy. Your battle suit doesn't protect your vital areas, especially your chest. Juno was wearing a bikini-style battle suit. She blushed and pouted. I hate you. Why are you looking there? I closed my eyes and rested. I completely ignored her presence. Suddenly, I felt a void at my waist. The dagger I spent 10,000 spirit stones to obtain was taken by Juno. She looked full of excitement. She marveled at the dagger. So sharp, so beautiful. It looks very valuable. Give it back to me. No way, no way. What's wrong with letting me try it? Haven't you noticed? This dagger goes really well with my armor. She said that while making some exaggerated combat moves. I grabbed her wrist with one hand. She turned pale from the pain. Her hand lost strength. The dagger fell. I cut it accurately. I coldly reminded her, "Don't let your blood get on me when you get bitten by zombies. Hey, are you wishing me to die?" She raised her hand to push me. Damien quickly stood between me and her, looking down at her. That look was filled with deadly intent. Juno was immediately scared. She pulled her neck back. She slinked back to her seat. She cried and buried her head in Knight's arms, wailing and complaining. "Everyone says I can't. Can I really not? So what? Let Juno be our mascot. She'll protect us and we'll be invincible." I laughed coldly. Who needs her protection? The car had just stopped. A horde of zombies was rushing towards us. Damien and I quickly ran up to the top of the hospital. We made it to the top floor. We set up our sniper rifles. We shot at the zombies running down below, in the midst of shooting zombies in the head. I caught a glimpse of Knight carrying Juno with one hand on the first floor plaza, the other hand was using an axe to cut zombies. This posture made me laugh and cry at the same time. Knight's partner had been forgotten. Poor girl, facing zombies attacking from both front and back. Juno was screaming in fear. Not only could she not help, but she also distracted Knight. Knight relied on his strong strength, kill zombies while flirting with girls. Show off your boyfriend power, but he was overconfident. Even with great strength, he couldn't withstand such a burden. A tall and strong zombie jumped down from the third floor. It landed directly on Juno and Knight. Its blood-stained mouth aimed for Knight's neck for a fatal bite. Juno immediately jumped off Knight. Knight looked terrifying. He raised 5 fingers and shouted at Juno. Juno was full of fear. Tears rolled down her eyes, and she stepped back while speaking. "I'm sorry, you've been bitten by a zombie. I can't save you anymore. I tried so hard to protect you. Juno stepped back and bumped into a fierce zombie with green glowing eyes. She covered her head. "Don't kill me, don't kill me." She was clearly terrified. Her legs were weak, like a lamb about to be slaughtered. The zombie lunged at her with saliva dripping from its mouth. Fortunately, Juno was saved by a young girl. The young girl snorted and crossed her arms. "Although you are really annoying, I won't let you die. The man who protected Juno is dead. I'll have to find another one." Her gaze naturally fell on the strongest person, so she used the tracker to quickly find Damien, but this was not an easy task. Just getting through the corridors filled with zombies and mutated plants, she didn't know what to do. She had a stick in one hand, her pink battlesuit was covered in dirt, and she started to cry with a grin. "Help me, someone." I don't know how long it was, but I even forgot about Juno, assuming she had fallen into the zombies' mouths. 3. She was in a mess and came looking for me. "Can you protect me, Damien? I almost got bitten by a zombie just now." She was panting from exhaustion. She might have killed a few zombies along the way, covered in blood. Damien didn't pay any attention. He looked down. The gun kept firing. Each bullet hit the target perfectly. Juno was blushing. She stood on her toes, close to Damien's ear. "I can let you kiss, or sleep. But only hold, nothing else." Her ears turned red. She was very embarrassed. A delicate womanly posture, in great contrast to the bloody background of war. I hesitated whether to leave for a while, give them some private space. Damien's gun suddenly turned direction, a dark barrel, pointing directly at Juno's head. She was suddenly terrified. My voice trembles. "Damien, you're my brother. How can you kill your own kind? If you don't want to die, shut up and stay away from me." Damien coldly said this and came to the other end of the balcony, patting my shoulder. "Let's go, search for survivors." We quickly found the first survivor, a 10-year-old girl. I crouched down, wiped her tears, kissed her cheek, and told her firmly, "Don't be afraid. The older brother and sister are here to save you. You will live safely." The girl finally saw hope. Tightly gripping my hand, her big eyes full of tears, but she was holding them back. At this moment, I noticed the follower behind us. It was Juno. "Is it worth following us?" I stopped in my tracks. She realized she had been exposed, so she stopped hiding, looking pitiful as she touched her stomach. "I'm hungry. Can we go find something to eat first? Also, I'm covered in zombie blood. It's smelly. I want to find some water to wash myself, and we can look for survivors later. It's not urgent." I rolled my eyes forcefully. "Why won't you just die already? She's such a nuisance." She suddenly grabbed the door handle of a room. "There are zombies in this room, at least a dozen. If you don't accompany me, I'll open this door." She was using such a despicable method to threaten. I raised my hand. I wanted to shoot her right then and there. However, the door was opened by her the next second. She ran towards us quickly. A large wave of zombies came out. Surprisingly, not just a dozen zombies. Roughly estimated, there were more than 30. In a short time, they could not be killed all, only run. I reached out and grabbed the surviving little girl, but I saw Juno push the little girl into the approaching zombie crowd. In an instant, dozens of zombies pounced on the girl. Juno shouted, while they were eating the girl, "We should run all the way to a safe room and lock the door." I pulled out a dagger and pressed it against Juno's neck. Our purpose here was to save survivors. But you just killed a survivor with your own hands. What else could I do? If we didn't delay, we wouldn't have made it. I didn't expect there to be so many zombies in there, Juno said confidently. Don't forget, everyone has a monitor. If you kill me now, you'll be punished when we get back. I'm so angry I could grind my teeth, but I really can't kill her. The manager's voice indeed came through the headset. Clove, don't attack your comrade. Her mistake will be dealt with later, manager. Thank you for speaking up for me. I didn't mean to. I just had to protect myself first. She had teary eyes and spoke in a soft voice, completely unlike the image of her just now forcefully pushing the little girl into the horde of zombies. Clove, saying that, she also tugged on Damien's sleeve. Brother, say a few words in my favor, okay? The manager's voice was cold. Clove, don't harm her. This is my order. Did you hear that? It's not allowed to bully someone, okay? I won't touch you today, but don't follow me later. Who's following you? I'm clearly following Brother Damien. As soon as she finished speaking, the dark gun aimed at her again, and Clove instinctively raised her hands. Brother Damien, what are you doing? Kneel down and apologize. Damien didn't say a word. Seeing that his finger was about to pull the trigger, his eyes were as cold as ice. He didn't care about being disciplined by the base, his superior combat ability, even without relying on the base. He could still live well. Seeing the situation was bad, she quickly knelt down, overly obedient. Sister, I'm a big scoundrel. Sister, forgive me, I'm wrong. Seeing the gun still pointed at her, she hurriedly continued to kneel, until her forehead was swollen and had bloodshot veins, and the ground was finally stained red. Damien finally said softly, we still need to search for survivors. Don't waste time on her first, okay? I kicked her with one foot. Go away, shook off the sycophant. I and Damien rescued 38 survivors in one go, the best performance. On the way back, I saw Juno looking disheveled. She was deliberately looking for a new sucker. Ezekiel, brother, want to hear a song? I can sing for you, brother. You just killed the zombie. That was so cool. But the man wasn't interested in her act. He didn't even bother to respond. Back to the base, the administrator ranked us. Me and Damien were first place, while Juno was last place, because she didn't rescue a single survivor. And she even killed one survivor. When the rankings were announced, she pouted her lips, tears fell in big drops instantly. Everyone had already gotten used to her crying at the slightest thing. No one really cared. She saw that no one was paying attention to her. She let out a beast-like, ear-piercing wail. She wanted all the attention of the whole room to be on her. That was when she was satisfied. I'm sorry, I'm disturbing everyone, but I just feel like I held you all back. Will you blame me? The manager scratches his head. Cry, cry, cry. Your crying is about to drive me crazy. The mistake you made this time is unprecedentedly serious. You must be given the harshest punishment. Juno was sent to be the lowest level laborer for 10 months. The laborers in the apocalypse have the hardest and most exhausting work. They eat leftover and spoiled food. They often have to risk their lives to clean up the battlefield. Most of them die within a month due to malnutrition or infection. Juno's situation was no different from being sentenced to death. She couldn't accept the result and begged the manager with a bitten lower lip. Manager, forgive me this time. The manager seemed not to have heard her and left after announcing the results. She didn't give up and ran up to him, hugging him from behind. For the manager's expression was out of control. What are you doing? I really can't go to the lower level. I can't stand it. I will definitely get a good grade next time. No matter how the manager struggled, she didn't let go. Okay, regarding your staying or leaving, let's have a vote by raising hands. Juno jumped up happily. Everyone is kind. They won't vote for me to go to the lower level. Look, no one raised their hand. She celebrated in advance. As soon as she finished speaking, everyone raised their hands. Some people even raised both hands. Juno's smile faded. Staring in shock at everyone who silently raised their hands, emotion suddenly bursts out. Am I really that worthless? She ran away crying. What awaited her was endless torment and finally death. 8 months passed. I have successfully transformed into a skilled warrior. I am far ahead in the total score. Promotion is imminent. That day, I passed by the storage room. I heard strange sounds coming from inside. I immediately became alert. Do not let zombies enter the base, so I crouched down and slowly approached. I thought it was something dangerous, but I saw a shocking scene. I instinctively covered my eyes, then I turned around and left. I had not walked a few steps. A loud voice came from behind. Stop. The administrator was fastening his belt while looking at me suspiciously. Clove, what did you just see? Report. I saw you and Juno. Shut up. Remember, you saw nothing. Yes, rank makes a big difference. I have no room to argue. Moreover, what others do, as long as it doesn't harm my interests, I don't need to get involved. It's just that unexpectedly, Juno, who fell to the lower level, not only didn't die, but also got close to the management, see me very obedient. He snorted and left. Juno slowly walked out from the storage room. She had an unusual flush on her face. Her clothes were wrinkled. When she looked at me, her eyes avoided mine. She grabbed my hand. Clove, I was forced by the manager. I kept a piece of sanctuary for Damien. I found her logic strange. Whether innocent or not, why go to so much trouble to explain to me? Okay, I have to train, and I'm too lazy to talk about your nonsense. She spread her arms to block me, her eyes full of stubbornness. So, are you agreeing to me? What did I, my dad, agree to with you? I held back the urge to crush her. Stay away from Damien. She seemed to have thought of something. A shy smile appeared on her lips, and she tilted her head. In fact, I know that Damien has already developed feelings for me, but it's you who is standing between us, preventing us from being together. She was so confident it was unbearable, and for a moment I didn't know how to curse her. She lifted her finger and gently pushed my head. Shit, I cursed. She dramatically gasped, covered her mouth, and her eyes widened with the fear of a deer. Big sister, you shouldn't say bad words. My goodness, I was so shocked by her outrageous statement that I rolled on the ground. Her mouth opened and closed, still saying something, but I could no longer hear it. My attention was fixed on a small water basin in the corner of the corridor. Without hesitation, I lifted her by the neck with one hand, dragged her to the water basin, directly shoved her head into it, then slowly started counting. 1987. The countdown was over. Suddenly pulled her head up. She gasped for air instinctively, not yet having caught my breath. I again shoved her head into the water tub. This went on back and forth 3 or 4 times. She had inhaled a lot of water, coughing wildly, begging desperately for mercy. I'm sorry, have mercy on me. I suddenly threw her onto the ground. Don't ever provoke me again. Be sensible. The water in the tub had washed away her makeup, exposed large pores and spots. Eyes shrank by a circle. There was no eyebrows at all. This is how I look without makeup. I chuckled lightly, disgusted, and let go, turned around and left. When I went down the stairs to the 2nd floor, I heard Juno's voice. Administrator, you must help me get even with her. Clove, that scoundrel woman, has bullied me so much I'm not even human anymore. She should be on a video call with the manager. The manager's first reaction was confusion. Who are you? Juno realized her makeup was completely ruined, and she looked like a drowned woman, embarrassed and helpless. She quickly adjusted her bangs to cover her high hairline. I'm your little sweetie, Juno's sister. I don't want to see a ghost during the day. The phone was hung up with a click. The manager was quite good at swearing. Juno not only failed to get someone to help her, but also got humiliated, which made her furious. I heard her scream with frustration and helplessness. Clove, why don't you just die? Go die, die, die. The more she suffered, the more I felt relieved. That day I trained until late at night. I just returned to my bedroom. Save me. I hadn't even had a chance to turn on the light. In the darkness, someone grabbed my hand. They pushed me against the wall over my head, out of the between partners. I immediately recognized it was Damien. His body trembled slightly. It seemed he was trying hard to suppress something. I was about to ask. He covered my mouth. At that moment, I heard Juno's voice. She was holding a flashlight and looking around. Damien, are you here? Damien, can you answer me? I'm worried about you. Juno was frustrated, wondering why she had let Damien get away. That medicine powder is hard to find. In such a special time as the apocalypse, it is even more precious. She only has 1 package of medicine. That's the only chance she has. It must not be wasted. She knows her own strength is not enough. She must rely on a strong man. Damien is not only strong, but also very handsome. He is the perfect choice for drugging. She heard the voice. Damien immediately pulled me into hiding. In the dark, I could clearly feel something was wrong with the other person. I became tense immediately. My body was stiff and tense. Juno searched for a long time but found not a single hair. She looked frustrated. Where did it go? This duck is not going to get away now. She went off again to search for Damien. Only after confirming it was safe could I speak up and ask, what's wrong? She wants to take advantage of me. There are rules in the base. Once there is a relationship, marriage is required. Juno used such a despicable method just to marry Damien. Damien grabbed my arm. He directly covered my mouth. My mind was in a haze. I immediately stopped it. No, no, no. Once there is a relationship, marriage is required. We need to think carefully. The scene of our marriage had been imagined countless times in my mind. No need to think about it. As soon as he finished speaking, he came closer again, unresistible. This guy has incredible strength, plus the effect of the medicine. Until the next day morning, he finally let me go. Damien quickly submitted the marriage application to his superiors. On the day he went to submit the documents, he was caught by Juno. Brother Damien, what is this? Are you going to marry someone like Clove? Her tone sounded like she was catching someone in an affair. Damien glanced at her. I have more important things to do. I'll deal with you sneaking poison into my food later. Juno shivered under his gaze, but still held her head high and said, Brother Damien, I like you, please consider me. Our child will be better than the one you would have with Clove. He will become the leader of the base. She spoke with certainty, and her voice was loud enough to draw a crowd. Damien raised the document in his hand and addressed everyone. I have already applied to marry Clove. Please accept my wedding gifts. In the post-apocalyptic era, wedding gifts are a rare commodity. It's very worth celebrating. The crowd immediately erupted in cheers, and their happy words sounded especially pleasant. Congratulations, congratulations, have a healthy baby, your physical condition is so good, and Clove is so beautiful, you two are so compatible. 5. You're saying that, brother is also handsome, the two of them are a perfect match. The best of the best, love in the apocalypse is too precious. These words fell on Juno's ears, sounding especially harsh. She frowned. What's there to congratulate? Look at you two, you're not worth anything, it's just a few wedding candies, and you're so happy. She instantly provoked everyone's anger. You speak so lightly. Show us a few pieces of candy then. Yes, don't talk about candy. Can you even show us a packet of instant noodle seasoning now? Get lost. Damien being attracted to you is his past life's misfortune. You really think you're so likable. They all spoke at once, leaving Juno speechless, her lips turned down, and she looked like she was about to cry again. No one wanted to see her cry, and the crowd immediately scattered. Damien saw me watching from a distance, a look of cold severity on his face, and a smile spread across it. He quickly walked over and took my hand. You were exhausted last night. Why didn't you rest in the room? I turned red and hit his chest hard. You have the nerve to say that. You submitted the marriage application without asking me. What if I didn't want to? He caught my hand and pressed it against his heart. Actually, I was too afraid to ask you. If you said no, I would go crazy. When he said that, his eyes were fixed on me, as if looking at his own sun, moon, and stars. I was stunned by that gaze and nodded without knowing why. I'm willing. The next day, I was getting food in the cafeteria. Sister Clove, don't you feel guilty? A voice sounded behind me. I looked completely confused. You know I like Damien, brother. Why did you flirt with him recklessly? Did you consider his future at all? I kicked her, and she fell onto the chair behind her. The loud noise attracted a crowd who had long been tired of Juno and started to gloat. Is Juno okay? Is her stomach hurting? Should I kick her again to make it worse? Clove did something I wouldn't dare to do. She's really capable. Clove is about to be promoted. It doesn't matter if the manager punishes her. Juno forgot her expression management from the pain, full of malice. I interrupted. If you keep talking, I'll expose your affair with him. She knew that the him I mentioned referred to the administrator. Once the improper relationship in the base is exposed, both she and the administrator will be punished. She restrained herself from spitting out a curse, swallowed her anger, got up silently, shook off the dust on her body, and walked away with one step after another, limping. At this moment, Damien came from the distance with a happy face, and the onlookers laughed ambiguously. Hey, Damien is always expressionless. Why is he smiling like a flower today? He was holding a flower in his hand. Damien put a flower in my hand, didn't dare to look at me directly, and said with a forced smile, Our marriage has been approved. The onlookers erupted in cheers, making me feel embarrassed. Damien took my hand actively. A girl full of envy said, 3 days later, you'll go on another mission, then you can be promoted to the next level. No more need to take basic missions to gain points, and no more being ordered around by managers. On the day of the mission, Juno was also on the list. She was in charge of cleaning up after the war, and also acting as bait to draw the zombie hordes out. But she didn't come for a long time. We split up to look for Juno, so as not to delay the mission. When I reached the restroom door, I heard Juno speaking in a low voice. Why did you assign me to the bottom-level mission? You always used to find an excuse not to let me go. Do you want me to die in the zombies' mouths, or do you want your child to be aborted? I was surprised and covered my mouth, listening closely. A voice came through the earpiece. Speak quietly. Don't let anyone find out. According to the base regulations, having a relationship must lead to marriage, and having a child cannot be terminated. If Juno's pregnancy with the manager's child became known, the manager would have to marry Juno, but from his attitude, he didn't seem to want to. Juno sneered. You do something for me if you don't want me to spill it. She didn't say anything else behind, perhaps being cautious. She sent a text message to the administrator. I coughed and appeared. Hurry up. Don't make everyone wait for you. This time's mission was to collect supplies from an abandoned school, to improve efficiency. I and Damien went our separate ways. I kept wondering in my mind what Juno asked the administrator to do. At that moment, a force came from behind and pushed me down from the upper floor without warning, and my rigorous training paid off at that moment. I reacted quickly and grabbed the eaves. My whole body was hanging outside. I had the ability to climb back up, but Juno, who just pushed me, was wildly hitting my fingers. A sharp pain came, and I gritted my teeth and didn't let go, otherwise I would fall into the mouths of the zombies below. Juno, you should pull me up. If I really die because of you today, you will also be punished when you go back. She laughed confidently. The manager has broken the listener. Even if I kill you 1,000,000 times here, no one will know. She tilted her head and looked at the height below me, as well as the increasing number of zombies stacked together, about to build a tower and swallow me into their mouths. I closed my eyes and thought, I'm done, I'm going to die here, and no one will even know how I died. The 5 fingers clinging to the eaves were already swollen and red. The pain was unbearable, and I couldn't hold on any longer. Juno burst out in victory. I won. No one will stop me from being with Damien anymore. Her smile was about to reach her ears. Go and die quietly. The last finger could no longer hold. At the critical moment, Damien appeared. He grabbed me with one arm. The other arm pushed Juno down without hesitation. I held back the urge to cry, and slowly pulled myself up along with Damien's movement. Help, I heard Juno's voice. She hadn't been pushed all the way down, and now both of us had 5 fingers firmly gripping the eaves. The situation suddenly turned around. It was now her who was about to fall. She looked at me with tearful eyes, begging for help. Clove, I know I was wrong. I'll never argue with you again. Please save me once. I don't want to die. She looked urgently at Damien. I was a frog trying to eat a swan. I'll never do it again. Pull me up. Okay. She didn't have the strength. Even if no one was stepping on her fingers, she wouldn't be able to climb back up. She was now on the verge of falling. You can only turn to us for help. You just said that the manager has destroyed the listening equipment, even if you die 1,000,000 times here. No one will know that it's related to me. I use her own words to destroy her heart. She cried and shook her head desperately. I know I'm wrong. I'm really bad. How could I be so cruel? I beg you to let me go. I won't do it again. Save my life. My boots stepped on her pale fingers. She screamed in pain and begged for mercy and agony. Help. If you can hold on for 10 seconds without falling off, I'll save you. 10, 9, 8, 7. She persisted with great effort, her body trembling violently as it was about to give out. She was about to count to 1. I deliberately slowed down. 2. She gritted her teeth. Hurry up and count to 1. Don't slow down. I kept smiling, but I didn't count to 1. I never intended to save her. She was extremely anxious. Damien, you should remind Clove that it's okay to count to 1 now. I've held on for 10 seconds. Hurry and save me. Damien ignored him. He knew I couldn't stand even a grain of sand in my eyes, and I would take revenge if I had a grudge, so the way he looked at Juno was like looking at a dead person. A wind with a scent of blood blew by. The air was silent for a moment. Juno suddenly understood. She laughed, with a sorrowful face. You never intended to save me. 6. Tears silently rolled down her eyes. She looked at peace, accepting her inevitable fate. The next second, she let go. She fell into the crowd of zombies, instantly bloody and mangled. Damien and I returned to the base, exposed the affair and secret collusion between the administrator and Juno, almost caused the base to lose a potential star like me. The higher-ups were furious. The administrator was dealt with. The administrator was punished to become a lab rat in the research department, injected with various hormones for study. Damien and I smoothly advanced to the next level. Damien, due to his outstanding talent, gained recognition and was promoted another level within a few days. On the day of the wedding, Damien and I smiled at each other. We know that we have a bright future. Story 2. 10 days after the zombie virus outbreak, I was finally tormented to death by my insane mother-in-law, worthless husband, and his beloved ex. After being reborn, I stocked up on supplies and watched them destroy each other. 1. Bang. A loud explosion jolted me awake in my bed. In bed, to my surprise, I found myself unharmed. Wasn't this the zombie virus outbreak? When we ran out of supplies, my crazy mother-in-law, worthless husband, and his ex had eaten me. I rolled out of bed and looked out the window. It was just 2 cars that had collided. Had I traveled back to before the disaster struck? I remembered the black car's driver was in white, and the white car's driver was in red. They started fighting as soon as they got out of their cars. Sure enough, moments later, 2 figures, one in white and one in red, were fighting downstairs. I was sure I had been reborn. I grabbed my phone to check the date. There were 3 days left until the zombie virus outbreak. 3 days, every second counts. I had to survive and seek revenge. 2. Charlie stood by the living room window, enjoying the drama, and asked me as I prepared to leave, "It's the weekend, where are you headed?" My neck's a bit sore. Going for a massage. Charlie's eyes flickered like will-o'-the-wisps in the night. Driving there. Yes. He grinned and blew me a kiss. Take care on the road, wife. If it were before, I would have blushed at his handsome face and gentle smile, feeling utterly blissful, but now, all I felt was disgust and danger. I wasn't really going for a massage. I was going to collect rent. I had long noticed Charlie monitoring my financial status, but I thought little of it since we were married. No, I needed a lot of money to stock supplies, and using the bank account would alert him. I couldn't let him sense anything was amiss. Rent from my properties and shops was due every 5 years, and it was time to collect. Even half of the collected rent would suffice to build a safe house and stock up on supplies. Once out of the elevator, the signal on my phone improved. And I heard Charlie's voice from my phone. Renee, she's out for a massage. According to her habits, she won't be back the entire day. Why don't you come over to my place? What, your place? That's my house. You're just a freeloader who couldn't even afford the down payment. Furious, I gritted my teeth, got into the car, and listened to the activity on the other end of the phone. I had hidden my second phone in the bedroom closet to eavesdrop on Charlie, but I was uneasy. Haunted by the eerie smile Charlie had given me before I left, sitting in the car, I typed a message while listening to Charlie's movements. Renee, I'm sorry. Once I get the money, any kind of beauty or massage card you want, I'll get it for you. Sharon, that wretched woman, her parents left her a lot of money. She has no close relatives. Once she dies, all her assets will be mine. Extreme hatred brings coldness and calm. You know I don't love her. I married her for her money. I only want to marry you. You're like a princess, and I want to give you the best material life. I've loved you since I was 16. I've loved you for 10 years, and I've never changed. Renee came from a poor family. Despite her stunning appearance and a constant stream of wealthy suitors, how come she can't even afford a beauty membership now? After I finished editing the message, I sent it to the tenants group. Pay your rent in cash within 3 days and get a 1% discount on 5 years' rent. The message caused an uproar in the group. 1%. I'm going to withdraw money right now. Rich lady, I'm hungry. Feed me. Get lost. The rich lady upstairs is mine. My 6-pack is ready. When will Miss Rich Lady come and take care of me? The messages in the group made me laugh. Just as I was starting my car, I heard Charlie say, "Not only will I inherit her fortune, but I'm also the beneficiary of her insurance." Renee, the day we met again, I bought her a personal accident insurance policy and tampered with her car brakes. She'll probably hit the road to the underworld in her car in a few days. Ha ha ha. I was horrified, immediately turned off the engine, and remembered Charlie's laugh, which sent shivers down my spine. Indeed, after love dies, a woman becomes incredibly sharp. Charlie's arrogant laughter resounded from my phone. Ha ha ha. The timeline is so long. The police won't find out. Renee, we have billions waiting for us to spend. Renee, I love you. I love you. It turns out that even without an apocalypse, I would end up dead at the hands of that despicable couple, Charlie and Renee. I resisted the urge to rush back and kill Charlie, hailed a taxi, bought a suitcase, and then went to collect rent. My tenants are quite low maintenance. Every time I finished with one, I hinted that they should stock up on food and drinks. Halfway through, I remembered I had a large flat that was lying vacant, which might serve as a safe house. It was a large flat on the 7th floor, the top floor, spanning 300 square meters, enough space to store supplies. Although not as tall as other buildings with dozens of floors, it was still the highest structure around. It was detached from other buildings, with a solid structure and foundation. The elevator was private for each flat, and the fire escape doors were bulletproof and fireproof, offering a high level of security. I decided to buy a strong lock later to secure the fire escape, creating the first barrier. I stopped collecting rent and went to a renovation company. When Renee entered my house, I was directing the workers to reinforce the burglar bars and replace the windows with one-way bulletproof glass. Oh, and change the door to the thickest, heaviest, and most durable one, the kind that even a Gatling gun can't penetrate. The worker wiped his sweat and asked, "Miss, are you trying to build a prison?" I put on a pitiful face. "I'm getting a divorce from my husband, and I fear he might come after me. There's too much news about husbands killing their wives. I'm really scared. Sir, I'll pay you extra. Please complete the work as soon as possible, otherwise, I have nowhere else to go." The worker, feeling a great sense of responsibility, responded, "I'll get the glass done today, and the door by tomorrow morning. Thank you." I paid the deposit, and after some thought, I added, "Sir, with the pandemic coming and going, you might want to stock up on food and drinks." The worker agreed wholeheartedly, though I wasn't sure if he really took my advice, but that was all I could do. While Charlie was having a heart-to-heart with Renee, I rented a van to arrange for the installation of solar panels. These panels, along with rainwater collection tanks, would be mounted on the rooftop. I'd also need to buy a new lock to secure the rooftop door to prevent any tampering. As Charlie and Renee were all lovey-dovey, I purchased heaps of potting soil, vegetable seeds, and planting boxes. When they couldn't keep their hands off each other, I bought 3 large refrigerators, 10 induction cookers, 10 electric kettles, and even had 5 gas cylinders delivered. If it were not for the regulation limiting a household to only 5 cylinders, and my fear of getting blown up, I would have bought 20. I skipped going to the supermarket and directly contacted the manufacturers instead. Rice, flour, noodles, cooking oil, seasonings, bottled water, canned meat, canned fruits, compressed biscuits, canned milk powder, nuts, bread, instant noodles, dumplings, soup bowls, wontons, and rice dumplings. I bought dozens of boxes of each. Of course, I didn't forget my favorite hot pot base. I planned to eat hot pot every day, while Charlie and his company wouldn't even get a taste of it. As I made these purchases, I wasn't calculating the cost, but the load-bearing capacity of the building. If I weren't afraid of living too low and having to hear the terrifying sounds of zombies every day, I would have rented a huge warehouse where load-bearing wouldn't be an issue. I had now purchased all the basic necessities, spending half a box of money, dragging an empty box. My steps felt much lighter. While helping the delivery guy with the goods, a security guard asked me, "This is an apartment building. Why are you buying so much grain and oil?" "I have a hoarding disorder. I start shaking if there's too little at home. You should stock up too, just in case." Clearly, the security guard didn't take my words seriously. Musing that it seems nobody is considered modern without some psychological issues these days. Right, you live in building 3, floor 7, right. My heart skipped a beat, instinctively not wanting to share my real information with the security guard, but lying would only cause more trouble, as he could find out anyway. I nodded and headed upstairs full of unease. At night, after the windows were secured, property management wouldn't allow the installation of solar panels privately. So I arranged for the contractor to come and install everything on the rooftop the day before the apocalypse was due to ensure it was fully equipped. When I opened the door, I caught a flash of disappointment in Charlie's eyes. Renee had already left, and I casually greeted Charlie and went to take a shower. I decided not to sleep in the bedroom that night, feeling nauseated at the thought of the bed after hearing those two all afternoon. However, I still went into the room to hide a pinhole camera in a concealed spot. I also placed cameras in the living room, bathroom, kitchen, second bedroom, and balcony. The apocalypse might be dull, but these would provide some entertainment. Unfortunately, the cameras depended on the internet, which would be cut off 7 days after the zombie outbreak started. 7 days would be enough for a few rounds of dog-eat-dog. Tonight I have work, so I'll sleep in the second bedroom to avoid disturbing your rest. He seemed relieved, probably fearing that I would force myself on him. Gross, what a sleazy man. Then I thought about Renee, who couldn't even afford a beauty card, so I made a call to have someone investigate her. After Charlie went to bed, I quietly got up to check the food supplies at home. The grains were almost gone, and the fridge only contained half a pound of old-fashioned sponge cake and 2 packs of rice noodles that I had bought. As expected, if I didn't buy them, Charlie wouldn't buy a single grain. Luckily, Charlie was both lazy and cunning, therefore, I didn't have to worry about him stocking up on supplies before the disaster struck. As soon as dawn broke, I was up and out the door. After collecting rent for half the day, I continued with my shopping, medications, including anti-diarrhea pills, fever reducers, cold medicine, painkillers, melatonin, various vitamins, alcohol, bandages, and more, household items, toilet paper, sanitary pads, shampoo, soap, face wash, laundry detergent, toothpaste, and toothbrushes. Given the scarcity of water in the apocalypse, I decided to skip on conditioner and shower gel. I also picked up a few cotton quilts, wool blankets, cotton pajamas, several thick military coats, and snow boots, without heating in the winter. These items are essential to avoid freezing to death. Electronics, 2 laptops, 2 smartphones, 2 tablets, 2 Kindles, 10 earphones, 5 over-ear headphones, 10 power banks, and 50 large-capacity USB drives filled with various movies, TV shows, ebooks, and music, plus a bunch of plugs and cables, my favorite snacks, chocolate, fries, chips, spicy strips, candies, and fruit preserves. Along with 10 cases of yogurt drinks, I also bought an exceptionally comfortable mattress and sofa. Planning to live out my days happily as a lazybones. Even if I can only live one more year, I want to live it joyfully. While I was halfway through shopping, Charlie called me. I told him I was on a trip and wouldn't pick up any more of his calls. I don't have time to waste on that jerk during my shopping spree. On the last day, I stocked up on fruits, vegetables, pork, fish, chicken, and some seafood to fill the fridge. I also installed solar panels. I locked all the doors, planted vegetables in the grow boxes, and quietly waited for nightfall. After much thought, I posted an anonymous message online: stock up on food and water today and don't go out tomorrow. Remember, do not go out. That's all I could do. In my past life, I had invited Renee over when the zombie outbreak occurred, and she ended up stuck at my place. This time, Renee was already at my home, looking serious, discussing with Charlie what was wrong with me. I was eating spicy seafood hot pot, watching the big screen. The two of them were sitting together on the living room sofa. Could she have found out? Charlie scoffed. She's so dumb, and we've been so secretive. How could she possibly find out? So, what's up with her? She's been crazy for more than a day or two now. Renee, let's stop talking about her. It's good she's out traveling. We get to spend a few days together. As they spoke, they snuggled up again. It was a sight for sore eyes. Renee was truly school beauty, flawless from head to toe. With a slender waist, long legs, smooth white skin, and a sweet soft voice, she and Charlie were a perfect match. I snorted coldly, thinking now that apart from his looks, Charlie was good for nothing, and to think, in a past life, I was such a sucker for a pretty face, I deserved that terrible end. On the screen, the two were getting intimate when the doorbell rang. The third protagonist finally makes a grand entrance. My dear mother-in-law. Do you think your precious son will continue to be obedient and filial in the apocalypse? Mighty mother-in-law and mama's boy, this duo is a catastrophic combination. Despite Charlie being inferior in every aspect and despite all their living expenses being covered by me, my mother-in-law may still thinks I'm the one reaching up to me. Only the governor's daughter was barely worthy of her son. It was bad enough that she looked down on me, but she also insulted me, calling me a jinx. Doomed to bring bad fortune to my own parents. In a previous life, it was she who, after the food ran out, coldly stared at me and asked, "Is there really nothing left?" Then she had Charlie and Renee hold me down while they cut the flesh from my calves. I am human, born to my mother after 10 months, raised on the dedication of my parents for over 20 years. They wanted me to stand on their shoulders and live a happy and fulfilling life. Not to be treated like a piece of meat or some human-pig hybrid. Furious and trembling, I calmed myself and continued eating my seafood. Suddenly, my phone rang, delivering a file and several videos. Once I saw them, everything became clear. May, on the other side, wasn't surprised to see Renee. She had known about her son's plan all along, and not only did she not stop him, but she also actively contributed. She asked Charlie, "Isn't that wretched home?" "No," commandingly, May said. She dares not to be home to welcome her mother-in-law, typical of someone born without being taught manners. Call her now, tell her to roll back and serve me. Charlie tried to calm May. "Mom, she's gone on a trip. How can she come back? Besides, Renee is here. A trip." May fumed even more. "She's using our money to travel. Truly shameless. It would be better if she died in a car accident on the way." I arrived to cold stoves. "And she's off traveling. Son, does she have someone else?" At this, Charlie couldn't help but laugh, and Renee covered her mouth to suppress her giggles. "Mom, who would fancy her? Come on, I'm hungry, make me something to eat." Grinding my teeth, I frowned upon hearing this and hastily called Charlie. "Hello," Charlie replied irritably. "Mom's here. I'm currently out of town and can't return immediately. I'll order some seafood delivery for home. And I'll be back tomorrow to take Mom out for a big meal and buy her new clothes and bags." Only then did May seem somewhat appeased, raising her eyebrows. "Make it quick." I ordered some exquisite seafood. May, upon seeing the small quantity, was about to call and scold me until she saw the price on the receipt and was satisfied. Dividing the seafood into 3 portions, I had to pretend I didn't know about Renee, so naturally, I ordered portions for 2. Renee only got a small share. But she was dieting and didn't complain. The seafood was expensive but sparse. Barely enough to fill them, but at least they wouldn't starve or need to buy more food late at night. I didn't want my plans to be foiled by them. Hearing that I would return the next day, after dinner, May hurried Renee away, saying that since Charlie and I were still not divorced, it wouldn't be proper for her reputation to stay the night. Old hag, dressing her words in nobility, was she just scared that I would suddenly return, catch Charlie cheating, and she'd lose out in a divorce? I was awakened by a massive explosion outside the window. Kneeling at the bay window, I looked out to see several cars in a chain collision. People screamed and scattered to avoid the onslaught of zombies, only to be knocked down and devoured. Blood was everywhere on the ground, and I couldn't bear to look anymore. The apocalypse had arrived as expected, and despite being surrounded by supplies in my home, I felt no relief. If possible, I wished that all my preparations were in vain. That the sun would rise as usual, and life would go on as normal. I turned on my computer, checked the news for a while, then looked up a post I had made the day before. Someone had commented, "I'm so glad I saw this post. I bought loads of noodles and water, enough to last a while." Me too. I was going to go shopping today but decided against it, otherwise, I wouldn't have made it back. The fact that I could help some people was the only thing that comforted me these days. It's just a shame that Renee, unlike in my previous life, wasn't stuck at my place when the apocalypse hit. I threw myself on the sofa, clutching a cake, and turned on the TV. Just then, I heard a knock on the door. Instinctively, I stood up, but no, the knocking came from the TV screen. Charlie peered through the peephole before he opened the door. It was Renee, disheveled. saying that zombies were all around her neighborhood and she was scared to be alone. The three of them were so frightened by the chaos outside that they were momentarily stunned. After a pause, Renee asked Charlie, "Brother, do we have enough food at home?" Charlie rushed into the kitchen, only to find no rice or flour left. The sight of the empty fridge brought even more despair. He cursed loudly, "Sharon, this useless thing, didn't even bother to restock our supplies. Is she trying to kill us? Damn fool." Charlie hugged Renee. "She eats like a pig on normal days. Eats more than three of you combined. How come she didn't buy anything this time? I found it absurd. I am 7 meters tall, weigh 55 kilograms, I eat a lot and never gain weight, and I even exercise for an hour every day. What's wrong with eating a bit more? One should not waste good food while alive." Upon hearing Charlie's words, May quickly added, "Renee is better, she eats less." I laughed out loud at this comment. Was my evil mother-in-law starting her antics? By noon, May picked up 2 bags of rice noodles, winked at Charlie, and said, "Since Renee eats so little, some bread will be enough for her." With that, May went into the kitchen to cook the rice noodles. Charlie looked at his mother, then at Renee, and didn't utter a word. This time, Renee was the one left out. She thought she had escaped to safety. But in the face of disaster, love was utterly useless. My wontons were ready, poured into the seaweed and shrimp soup I had prepared earlier. I devoured half a bowl in one go, sweating profusely from the heat. It was bliss. Charlie and May thoroughly enjoyed their rice noodles, while Renee sat alone in the bedroom, nibbling on dry bread. After finishing his meal, Charlie hesitated at the door before daring to enter. Then feigned concern, "Renee, are you hungry?" unexpectedly. Renee did not complain or make a fuss but just hugged Charlie and wept silently. "Brother, of course, I'm hungry. With limited food at home, I'd rather starve myself than see you and Aunt suffer. But brother, we're running out of food, and we must go out to find some." I couldn't help but give a thumbs up, marveling, is this what top-notch manipulation looks like, knowing exactly how to play on people's emotions? Charlie, clueless and fearful about finding supplies, said, "But where do we even look? You see, there are monsters outside. If you get bitten, they'll devour your innards and turn you into one of them." Renee remained silent. During dinner, Renee couldn't even have some bread because Charlie casually mentioned, "Renee hardly eats dinner." May quickly put away all the egg cakes, fearing Renee might eat more than her share. 3 days passed, and Renee had only eaten a small egg cake. So hungry she was seeing stars and could barely walk straight. Renee was not one to take things lying down. I had been waiting for her to strike back, and indeed, she took Charlie into the room. They whispered together, plotting something unknown. Suddenly, Charlie stood up with a start. "No, this is murder. The zombies outside are killing people, too. Does anyone care about that? If this crisis ends, the police won't let us off. The crisis won't end soon. If we don't find new food, we won't last a week." Convinced by Renee, she changed into a sexy low-cut dress and handed a fruit knife to Charlie. They peeked through the peephole to ensure it was safe outside, then opened the door and left. What were they planning? To venture downstairs in search of food? Impossible. At this time in my previous life, the neighborhood was swarming with zombies, and the nearest convenience store was 200 meters away. If they weren't heading to the convenience store, were they planning to rob someone? I remember the neighbor downstairs, a solitary geek who always stocked up on instant noodles, chips, and cola, but in these apocalyptic times, everyone is extremely wary of strangers. The geek might be reclusive, but he's not foolish enough to open his door willingly. Using seduction, I watched the screen with a heavy heart, silently praying that the neighbor downstairs would be safe. My prayers were in vain. Less than 20 minutes later, they returned covered in blood. Carrying 2 large boxes back, Renee, always cautious, took the boxes into the bedroom. Hearing the commotion, May came over and saw the boxes filled with various instant noodles, self-heating hot pots, self-heating rice, chips, shrimp snacks, cola, and beer. She was stunned for a few seconds, then more excited than if she had found gold. "Where did you get all this?" "Renee led me to get it," Charlie replied happily, hugging and kissing Renee several times. May immediately praised Renee for her bravery and wisdom, holding her hand affectionately as if Renee were her own daughter, completely forgetting how she had treated Renee these past few days. Renee, ever unassuming, said, "Aunt, I'd like some egg cakes now. Could you get me some?" May was more than willing, and with a cheerful exclamation, she went back to her room to fetch them. Renee followed May, and after she entered, Renee sneered coldly. After shutting the door and locking May inside the room, she began frantically pounding on the door. "Renee, what are you doing? Open the door now. Charlie, come save me." Charlie rushed over and asked Renee, "What are you trying to do? In these apocalyptic times, I can lure men to open doors and you can overpower them. But what about Aunt May? If she were a wise and selfless elderly person, she wouldn't be a burden to the youth." Instead, She would sacrifice herself to give us a better chance to survive. Aunt May doesn't understand this. We need to teach her to be sensible, Renee explained. Renee, don't be insane. Open the door. We have enough food for all three of us, Charlie pleaded. There's a lot of food. Yes, but how long will it last? A week? 10 days, brother. We need to strive to survive until this zombie crisis is over. We still need to settle scores with that scoundrel Sharon, and we still want to get married. Charlie paused in his attempt to snatch the keys. Marrying Renee had been his unwavering dream for 10 years. Renee embraced Charlie, her voice gentle and seductive, like a siren's call. Brother, we are meant to be together for life. Events began unfolding beyond my expectations. In less than half an hour, May went from being in control of the food to becoming a prisoner, and Renee, once marginalized, became the undisputed leader. Her relationship with Charlie rapidly intensified. As May cursed from inside, Renee completely lured Charlie into her embrace. I was so upset that I couldn't even eat. I was about to send a file to Charlie on my phone when suddenly, the power went out. That's strange. Last time, it took a week after the crisis began for the power to cut off. I checked my phone, turning on the monitoring app for Charlie's place, which was still brightly lit. Was it just my place that lost power? Or was it a tripped breaker? After pondering for a while, I decided to go check the electrical box. My hand was on the doorknob when a chill crept up my spine. Could it be that someone deliberately cut my power? I peeked through the door viewer. The hallway was completely empty. I recalled a news story about a woman living alone who went to check her fuse box during a power outage and was then dragged into her apartment and killed by a man lying in wait. Could I be facing the same situation? Thankfully, the camera at my door was battery operated. When I checked the footage, I indeed saw a person hiding in the corner, dressed in plain clothes, holding a bloody axe, just waiting for me to come out and then chop off my head. Given the circumstances, robbery was unlikely. They must be after the stash of food in my apartment. Who could it be? A neighbor? Impossible, as the elevator required individual keycards and I had locked the fire escape, making it inaccessible to my neighbors. It had to be the security guard. Knowing that I had hoarded a lot of food and having access to elevator cards, only the security guard could fit the bill. I couldn't risk going outside. Fortunately, I had solar panels. I turned on the switch. All was silent. Had he cut my electricity too? I was so scared that my legs went weak. I had to lean on the table just to keep myself upright. No need to panic, I reminded myself. There are gas cylinders at home, so cooking wouldn't be a problem. He's outside. He won't last long. At worst, I'll just outlast him. Relieved by that thought, I washed an apple and munched on it as I sauntered to the door. I don't need electricity. You really thought you were being clever. Didn't you see me buying all those gas cylinders? Guess whether you'll starve first or I'll die trapped. Seeing that his plan hadn't fooled me, the security guard, frustrated and embarrassed, began to smash my door with an axe. The noise was loud, but it only left superficial marks on the door. Nice try, but that's some strength you've got there. I spent a fortune on this bulletproof, fireproof door. If you can chop it down, I'll serve myself up on a platter for you to eat. The security guard started cursing at me, using foul language. I warned you before, to stock up on food. You didn't listen, and now you want to steal mine and risk my life. You're nothing but a beast. I even started to cheer him on. Keep at it. Put your back into it. No worries if you can't break the door. At least leave a mark. Less than an hour later, the security guard could neither chop nor curse any longer. After a while, he went down in the elevator. I stayed put. Less than 2 minutes later, he emerged from the elevator. He hadn't taken the elevator at all but had hidden in a blind spot out of the camera's view. Seeing that I wasn't fooled, he cursed under his breath and swiped his card to go down. When the elevator opened, there was actually a zombie inside, which dragged the security guard in and began to feast. The man's screams echoed through the corridor, the elevator doors closed, and quiet returned outside. 12. I sneaked out in the middle of the night, turned on the main switch, and connected the solar power lines. I was terrified, fearful that a zombie might burst out of the elevator behind me. Fortunately, the night was calm. The zombie in the elevator ensured that no one else could use it to come up. For me, it was a safety barrier. Charlie and Renee were already asleep. I sent the documents to Charlie. The notification sound woke him up. He grabbed his phone, and upon seeing the file I sent, his face turned ashen. Shaking, he finished reading it, glanced at the still sleeping Renee, and then slapped her hard. You said you've been working on improving your education these years. This is what you learned. Renee woke up startled and was about to react angrily, but she calmed down instantly after seeing what was on Charlie's phone. Charlie had idolized Renee as a goddess, but she was far from clean. In the red light district, her price kept dropping until she could only take the most depraved clients, and her hope of getting out became ever dimmer. Then, she met Charlie, whose love for her hadn't faded, even though Charlie had no money. Charlie's wife, who is me, is wealthy, and Charlie is a fool. Easy to control. After much deliberation, Renee saw an opportunity and began to interfere in my marriage with Charlie. You wretch, liar, liar. Charlie trembled with rage when he realized he had been deceived. His eyes bloodshot, he choked Renee and screamed, "Why did you deceive me? You destroyed my family, made me betray my mother. You've ruined me. I'll kill you." I sat eating ice cream, delighting in the spectacle of their animosity unfolding on the screen. Suddenly, Renee pulled a sharp knife from a drawer and stabbed Charlie in the belly, holding his stomach. Charlie fell to the side in disbelief. Without hesitation, Renee gripped the knife handle with both hands and stabbed him several more times. "I don't know what fantasy made you think I could ever love you. You were a nobody in high school, and 10 years later, you're still broke. Do you know how much I charge per night? 50,000. How many nights could the money in your pocket buy? How many nights have I spent with you for free? Let me tell you, you've hit the jackpot. Do you realize even a 50-year-old man is better than you? Sharon must be blind. What did she ever see in you?" I scoffed. 50,000. Renee could say that without blushing. She couldn't fetch that price even when she was 20. If it weren't for you having a wealthy wife, I wouldn't even spare you a glance. And stop pretending to be so deeply in love. I haven't had a grain of rice these days. All because you indulge your decrepit mother. You don't love anyone, you just love yourself and money. You covet your wife's wealth and harbor ill intentions. Do you think you're some innocent rabbit? You're trash, just like me. Actually, I'm better. I would never harm my family. And you've allowed me to imprison your own mother, planning to starve her to death. With his stomach gruesomely wounded, Charlie gasped in pain, tears streaming down his face. His eyes filled with terror as he stared at the crazed woman in front of him. What was he thinking? Would he regret it? I felt no sympathy for Charlie. He deserved it. Renee suddenly stopped, fetched a medical kit, and began treating Charlie's wounds. "You can't die yet. I need to keep you alive. You're still useful, but you're seriously injured. If you don't survive, I'll just put you in the freezer. It's a pity your mother is too old. Or I'd keep her alive too." I watched everything unfold on the screen calmly. It was ironic. This time, Charlie and his wicked mother were being treated like food. As she tidied her hair, her pale face flecked with blood, her gaze landed precisely on the camera. Her look was venomous, like a snake ready to strike. "Sharon, I know you're watching. Isn't this play thrilling enough? Next time, it might be your turn." Renee's madness and cruelty were beyond anything I could have imagined. I witnessed the whole process of her committing murder. It would be better if she didn't survive until the end of this crisis, because if she did, she would definitely do everything in her power to silence me. Even if her actions were deemed justifiable legally during the crisis, she wouldn't spare me. Being targeted by such a ruthless and vicious woman is truly terrifying. Renee took some clothes from my closet to go take a shower. I heard the commotion and started banging on the door. "Renee, you little wretch, what have you done to my son?" Renee laughed heartily, her voice light and cheerful. "Nothing much, just stabbed him in the stomach 5 or 6 times. Upon hearing this, May completely broke down and started screaming. Her piercing screams traveled through the walls, reaching far and wide. Suddenly, the door was being pounded on heavily. Renee paused for a few seconds, gathered her courage to peek through the peephole, and was so frightened by the zombies outside that she stepped back repeatedly. She could kill without batting an eye, but in front of zombies, she was as defenseless as a lamb. Shut up, May. You're attracting the zombies." Hearing this, May screamed even louder, as if her vocal cords would tear the next second. I guess May thought, since Renee wouldn't give her any food anyway, why not lure the zombies to end them both and avenge her son? More and more zombies gathered outside, using their heads and shoulders to ram the door. Our door was just a regular security door, which began to loosen after being heavily struck a few times. Renee tried to deceive her. "May, your son isn't dead, he's alive. I was just joking. Just shut up, and I'll open the door so you can see your son. Stop yelling. And I'll give you half of my food." After several such incidents, May would no longer believe Renee's words. Determined to perish together with her, Renee turned and ran into the room. Amidst the woman's screams and the zombies' roars, she heard a ringtone from a corner of the living room. It was a piano piece, just a step away. Not Charlie's, nor hers. Was it May's, driven as if by some unseen force? Renee walked over and found an old cell phone in the sofa seam and answered the call. I smirked slightly, tapped the screen of my phone, and the electronic lock on the door clicked open. A dozen zombies, mouths agape, charged at Renee. Happy doomsday, Renee. Behind Renee was a large floor-to-ceiling window, and the zombies pinned her against it, gnawing mercilessly. The screams, the chewing sounds, and the growls mixed together were chilling. I frowned and hung up the phone. Renee, with eyes wide open, searched for the camera. Her voice shrill. "Sharon, I will never forgive you, never. How can you not forgive me when you are about to die? The window, unable to bear the weight, shattered, and both Renee and the zombies fell down. In the small room, May had lost her voice from shouting. She burst into laughter upon hearing Renee's agonized screams, and soon her laughter turned into tears. By the 5th day of the outbreak, May had become completely silent. All the hatred had dissipated like smoke, allowing me to fully immerse myself in my new life. Even though it was a life amidst an apocalypse, I lived on the outskirts of the city in a community with a low occupancy rate. There weren't many zombies wandering around downstairs, and most of them were from the property management. On the 7th day of the outbreak, the residential area lost power and internet connection. Suddenly, the long-retired city loudspeakers began to operate. A man announced over the speakers that the military had initiated a rescue operation, and further rescue details would be communicated through the loudspeakers. It took 7 days for the rescue to start, likely because the military itself had been infiltrated by zombies, taking time to quell internal unrest and screen for potential infections. If the military started rescuing from cities near the military zones, then my city was probably the third to be rescued. But how long would it take to clear a city? 6 months, a year. I turned off all unnecessary electrical appliances, maintaining only the refrigerator and charging electronic devices, and only turned on the lights at night while tightly drawing the curtains. Sometimes I indulged a little by using an electric grill for barbecues or a small pot for hot pot. Fortunately, it was summer, the days were long and sunny, and solar power was sufficient. The community had many tall trees, so it wasn't too hot inside the buildings. Besides, my body tends to be cold, so I could tolerate the heat without air conditioning. On the 10th day, the water supply was cut off. After that, I realized my daily water usage was excessively high. I started to cut down on water use. Since meals and drinking couldn't be reduced, I had to cut down on cleaning. Living alone, I could wear fewer clothes, but during the summer, it wasn't feasible to go many days without bathing or washing clothes. My stored water might not be enough. Then there was the issue of garbage disposal. Keeping it at home could breed flies and insects. Throwing it in the corridor would smell bad. Discarding it downstairs could attract unwanted attention and danger. Burning it might produce smoke and toxic gases, exposing my location. When the city's normal operations halted, my life sank into a quagmire. All I could do was pray for the military to rescue us quickly. On the 30th day, unable to stand the trash at home any longer, I became a nightly garbage thrower, tossing it downstairs. Seeing me do this, some neighbors also started throwing their trash outside. I was delighted to discover there were still survivors in the building. On the 67th day, I suddenly noticed that the neighbors seemed to have stopped throwing their trash. On the 85th day, while I was cooking a small hot pot, I heard a distant thud. I stood by the window for a long time, trying to figure out what had happened. The next day, the crackling loudspeakers finally cleared up my confusion. It turned out the military had begun using missiles to eliminate zombies. Since zombies have particularly acute hearing, the military would use drones and helicopters to lure them to a designated area and then use missiles to eliminate most of them before troops moved in to clear any remaining zombies in the city, to preserve the city's infrastructure as much as possible. The blasts were set in remote suburban areas, therefore, the military would first enter these areas to evacuate the people. I was expected to receive rescue in half a month since I was located in the suburbs. On the 100th day, the loudspeaker sounded again, instructing us to hang bright fabric in visible places to help the military identify our locations. I was overjoyed. I tore off the bedsheet and hung it outside the window before starting to pack my backpack. Several households in the adjacent building had also hung brightly colored bedsheets out. I thought the rescue would come in a few days. But after waiting for 10 days with no sign of rescue and the loudspeakers going silent, I was losing hope. On the 112th day, while brushing my teeth by the window, I inadvertently saw a person sitting on the windowsill of the 7th floor in the building next to mine. He was emaciated, with a deathly pale face and lifeless eyes, listlessly swinging his legs. I wanted to open the window, but found it stuck. No. Hold on, rescue must be coming soon, I thought desperately. Suddenly, without any warning, the man leaned forward and fell like a leaf returning to its roots. Just then, I heard the sound of a vehicle. An armored vehicle approached from a distance, beginning the rescue operation in my neighborhood. A team of 7 fully armed soldiers rushed into the building, their silenced guns firing continuously as they cleared the zombies and made their way upstairs. I cracked the door open slightly and heard someone banging on the fire escape. I hurried to open it. It had been a long time since I had faced another living person. The leading officer, dressed in black with a black helmet, had eyes filled with determination. He told me to stay still and scanned me with a device. His voice was gentle yet powerful. "Please, follow me." With tears in my eyes, I shouldered my backpack and obediently followed them. "Am I the only one left in this building?" I asked. "Yes, you are very lucky and remarkable," he replied. I thought of the man who had jumped and secretly wiped away tears. If only he had held on for half a minute more. The lead officer received a message from other squads. They had completed the rescue with only 6 survivors from 3 buildings. Suddenly, below, a fight broke out between 2 figures, one in white and one in red. To my horror, it was Renee. Her face was ghastly pale, her cheeks hollow, and her usually large eyes looked as if they were about to pop out, with just tiny black pupils visible. Her body was covered in horrific bite marks. She opened her mouth wide and lunged at me. Renee had indeed come to seek her revenge. The officer pulled me into his embrace and said, "Cover your ears." He drew his pistol, pressing the muzzle against Renee's forehead, and fired. His movements were so quick that I hadn't even raised my hands when Renee fell backwards. "Do you know her?" the officer joked, holstering his pistol and releasing his hold on my shoulder. "Get on the vehicle. Congratulations, you are saved."